With the dust settled on week 9 of the college football season, where does the college football playoff picture stand? Now, if you're new to this show, these are our college football playoff picture rankings. These are not predictions. These are not projections. This is also not the seeding for the bracket. These are picture rankings. So these are going to be very similar to how I believe the college football playoff rankings reveal show will do it. Essentially, we're taking our 12th team, or our top 12 rather, our 12th team is the G5 team, and then 1 through 11 is as if they were all to be at-large bids. So obviously, spoiler, we have BYU at 11. BYU would probably be somewhere in the, or not probably, they would be the 4th seed in the college football playoff. Not how we discuss it here. So, before we get to that, make sure you are subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. College football, nothing but college football. No hot takes, no clickbait, no just traffic for traffic's sake. Like, we love this sport with every fiber of our being. We know you do too. We respect it too much to talk about it in any other fashion than whatever we believe on this show. So, with that being said, let's get right to it. As I mentioned, the number 12 team in our playoff picture rankings, true to the format of the college football playoff, is our G5 rep. Now, our G5 rep, and at this point in time, I think it's hard to make a case against them, Boise State. Beat UNLV and left no doubt at this point in time who the best team in the Mountain West is. And we hate the term good loss. Like, that to us is just like so counterintuitive to what like good competitors think about. However, if you are going to talk about resumes and all that when it comes to the G5 team that gets in the college football playoff, a 3-point loss to who many people believe to be the best team in college football right now from a rankings perspective on the road against Oregon, it is what it is. Ashton Jeanty had a semi-pedestrian day at the office Friday night against UNLV, and guess what? Still went over 100 yards. Give that offensive line some credit now. Those are some just dudes up front clearing the way for him. And Boise State, right now at least, our G5 rep, could make a case for Army if you wanted to. They'll have a chance to make their case, but for us right now, the 12th seed, the G5 team for us for right now is Boise State. At number 11, I already mentioned, it's BYU. Now listen, if we did not think a Big 12 team was good enough to be in this top 12, we would not put them there. We've done that multiple times in previous weeks. However, BYU is unbeaten. And so while I don't trust the Big 12 at all, BYU to me is the best team in the Big 12, and I think they have a case now with their record and with what they've done at this point in the year with their resume. A win over SMU also should hold some weight. The way they beat the brakes off UCF, like, you should, I think, give some credit to BYU and what they are right now. So they don't get this spot because they're the Big 12 rep. They get this spot because I think, as of right now, when it comes to the at-large bids, based on their record, based on their resume, I don't know if I trust the Big 12 yet, but BYU for us, number 11 in these playoff picture rankings. Now, at number 10, I got Tennessee. And if you're a Tennessee fan, you're like, what the heck? We had a bye, and how are we only at 10? I hear you. I totally hear you. We'll talk more about the teams in front of you in just a second. The thing with me for Tennessee is, like, they will have every opportunity to be a team in the college football playoff. They will have every chance. We'll learn a lot against Georgia when that game happens. But my thing for Tennessee is, like, okay, what now? Right? Like, what now happens? Because you lost to Arkansas. That is what it is. You beat Bama, and you feel like, okay, we'll put some things together. The defense showed up. Again, the running game is gritty as all get out. Dylan Sampson's a dude. Nico Iamaleava, do we see that next evolution from him? Do we see that next step from him? What now? You won that game against Bama. Do you take steps from that game and have a confidence-building kind of approach from that game to where you are better because of that game? Or is it won that game, check the box, and then you sort of regress a little bit? I think it's going to be a little bit more of the stepping stone in the right direction, but remains to be seen. Tennessee at 10 this week have every chance to move up based on what they do the rest of the way. Miami at 9. Miami, I get Florida State's Florida State. Like, do not hear me incorrectly. I'm not trying to overhype a win over Florida State. But the encouraging thing to me was Cam Ward had a decent day at the office, caught a touchdown, threw for over 200 yards, but like he didn't have that mega game that he's typically had that's carried Miami. You saw Miami just be absolute dogs in the trenches, and Damian Martinez run behind his pads for 9.9 yards a carry, and Miami won the football that way. You saw the physical Miami. So just to see that there, I'm not too worried about Cam Ward not having a crazy day at the office. To see them be able to lean on the physical side of what Miami is, they're going to need that going forward. And with them being unbeaten, I have them at 9. Speaking of unbeaten, Indiana. They've never lost. They did it yesterday with a backup quarterback in the game, Taven Jackson, in relief of an injured Curtis Rourke. You hope he gets back soon. Not only have they never lost, they've never trailed. So say what you want about their schedule, say what you want about IU, and, maybe optically it's tough for people to get on board with them being like a football school now. Curt Cignetti has the boys balling. More importantly, Curt Cignetti has the locker room believing. The confidence they have is what makes them dangerous. And again, Indiana now, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with here. I mean, talk about the games they have left. Ohio State, let's just go ahead and say that the talent of Ohio State's too much for Indiana. They're 11-1. 11-1 IU, I think they're getting the college football playoff, especially if they put a good showing out there when they play Ohio State. So we'll see what happens going forward, but Indiana for me, number 8 in this week's playoff picture rankings. Now I got Clemson at 7. Clemson has the one loss to Georgia, which was ugly. I'll give you that. I'll just say this. I trust this Clemson team more than I think I've trusted a Clemson team in some time at this point in the year. Because I believe that offense is like not just some smoke and mirrors. I think it's actually a good offense with Cade Klubnik taking proper steps forward, with the talent on the perimeter being legit, with the defense being what we've known Clemson defenses to be. Like, if they keep trending upward now, Clemson will have a very, very good shot, not just to compete in the ACC. Like, they're going to have a chance to make a run in the college football playoff. Garrett Riley in that offense feels like they're finally hitting their stride and their rhythm. I cannot wait to watch Clemson play Pitt. And I would assume we're going to see Clemson play Miami in the ACC title game, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Clemson at number 7 in this week's playoff picture rankings. Now, here's a major riser for us on this program. Texas A&M at number 6 for me in this week's playoff picture rankings. A lot of people are going to say, that's way too high to put them there. They lost Notre Dame. First of all, the lost Notre Dame, if that's really the hill you're willing to die on, 1, it was week 1. 2, Notre Dame has been a pretty tough out the rest of the way. I almost put Notre Dame actually in our playoff picture rankings this week. Want to give them some more time before we put them any higher than any other teams on this list. But the point remains the same here. A&M, the loss is quote unquote, I hate to say it, good loss, even with the NIU loss from Notre Dame. The thing that's impressive though, forget who they've lost to. Look at who they've beaten. Body bagged at the time a top 10 Missouri team, and then definitively took over that game last night in Kyle Field over a top 10 LSU team. Talk about the loss all you want. Talk about the wins even more. Under Marcel Reed, and it is Marcel Reed's football team right now, make no mistake about it, it is Marcel Reed's program. They have different juice offensively. That defense has real deal physicality up front. They held LSU to less than 30 yards rushing. Like all the things that you hired Mike Elko for, he has brought to the table and brought them to the table in year 1. You're seeing the culture, the discipline, the way about their business that they operate. Like you're seeing A&M now be an absolute wagon. And this is not a predictive ranking, but you look at their schedule the rest of the way, and they are going to have every chance to be in the SEC title game and have every chance to be in the college football playoff. For me right now, if we're on the island here, that's fine. A&M for us at 6 in the playoff picture rankings. Penn State, they're at 5 this week. Unbeaten. Found a way to get a win over Wisconsin last night. And it was a tricky spot for Penn State because you play Ohio State next week, and you were on the road, and you were off a bye after a gritty game against USC. Still, got a win. Still a 0 in the loss column. We're going to find out about their national title chops when they play Ohio State next week. So that'll be awesome. I can't wait for that one. But Penn State this week at 5. At 4, I got Texas. But it was Vanderbilt. They played them close. Hey, ranked road win in the SEC. I don't know. That Georgia game, we said it during our reaction to the Texas-Vandy game, so go check that out on the channel. That might be the best thing that will happen to Texas this season. Because 1, it was a wake-up call that, hey, we haven't arrived yet. And 2, it's a measuring stick of where you ultimately want to get to. Like Georgia, say what you want about what they haven't been at different points this year, really freaking good team. The best coach in college football under Kirby Smart. To see where they were and how far they were off in that spot, I think will make Texas hungry. I think it'll make them dangerous. So Texas at 4. Ohio State at 3 for us. The Nebraska game, I don't think you want to read too deeply into. Off a bye after an emotional loss to Oregon 2 weeks ago. Nebraska was going to come out swinging after their showing or lack thereof against Indiana. You won, and it wasn't your day. You didn't have what you needed up front, didn't have the running game, but still, Will Howard, deep shot to Carnell Tate, deep shot to Jeremiah Smith. You hate the interception from Will Howard, but overall, like you have a quarterback now that is continuing to prove he is an engine. He is a driver for this offense. I said it during our reaction to that whole operation with Nebraska and Ohio State. Will Howard's not just like along for the ride. He's not just sitting shotgun here. He's legit behind the wheel, whipping that offense, and was a big reason. I think you could argue one of the reasons why you won that football game against Nebraska. So I'm not worried about the showing against Nebraska. We knew that would be kind of a tricky spot for Ohio State. But the Penn State game, again, we mentioned that with Penn State, but same thing for Ohio State. We will learn a lot about what they have under the hood in that football game on the road in Happy Valley. Georgia is 2 for me this week, and I'm not convinced they're not still the best team in America, even with that loss to Alabama on the schedule. The win over Texas, I think, should hold a lot of weight on the road. Here's the thing. When they're healthy up front on the defensive side of the football, they are going to be, I think, as good as anyone in America, because I don't know how you match up with them. Like Michael Williams coming off the edge, Jalen Walker coming off the edge, and they didn't play this week, so we go back to the Texas game. They beat Texas by 2 scores on the road, and Carson Beck had a horrific day at the office when it comes to turning the football over. Now, he was timely, don't get it twisted, but like Carson Beck, when he's on and that defense is on, who's beating Georgia? So for that loss, they're going to put them at 2, but if you're predicting this thing, I think Georgia, if they were your preseason national title pick, like they were for us on this show, you should feel pretty good about your chances. Now, at number 1, well. Isn't this the team that everyone kind of sold down the river after they played Boise State close, after they played Idaho close? Oregon. Number 1 for us in this week's playoff picture rankings. You could say a lot about the way they're trending. You could say a lot about the way that they are, not having any letdown over a big win over Ohio State. They body bag Purdue. They body bag a top 25 Illinois team. But here's the interesting thing. Dan Lanning, what coaching tree is he from again? Nick Saban, Kirby Smart. Okay, cool. What do both those coaches historically do with their football teams? Play better and better as the year wears on. Play their best football when their best football is required. If you're tracking the progress of Oregon football, it has just been consistently up and to the right. It's just climbing and climbing. It's like watching an airplane take off. That is who Oregon football is right now. So you got to sustain that. But at this point in time, man, the win over Ohio State, the 0 in the loss column, the way the offense is humming, the way the defense is flying around like Oregon, I think there's no doubt they are right now, as of today, the best team with the best resume in college football. Take that to the bank. So to recap it here for you, our playoff picture rankings, not predictive and not putting this in a bracket, but as of right now, the G5 12th team for us right now is Boise State. Again, we're not putting them at 11 BYU because of the Big 12 ties or because they're from the Big 12 or like an obligation. But like I think right now you can make a case for them being the 11th best team in college football. So we'll put BYU there. Tennessee at 10, Miami at 9, Indiana never lost, never trailed, number 8. Clemson at 7, A&M shooting up the rankings at number 6. Talk about Notre Dame loss all you want. Make sure you talk about who they beat though. Penn State at 5, Texas at 4, Ohio State at 3, Georgia at 2, and the Oregon Ducks just chilling at number 1 in the playoff picture rankings. Again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening via podcast, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, subscribe to the feed there. A little 5-star review. We appreciate you for that. And follow me on the Instagram and on Twitter at JD PicKell. Hell, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling, baby. We will see y'all next time.